Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to share with you what I think are the best survival foods from the grocery store. Maybe you're new to prepping, you're just getting started with food storage, or you want to make sure that you're bulking up your long-term food storage. Don't wait till there's a storm on the horizon or an emergency bearing down on your community. Get to the grocery store and check out these best survival foods from the grocery store. The first category is dried foods. The very first item you should look for is rice. Rice can store up to 30 years and even longer. Rice is a very easy to cook food. It's versatile. You can spice it up all different ways. It's eaten all around the world. It's full of carbs and it's easy to store. Your rice will last longer if you store it in an airtight container. You can buy it in small bags, put it in small containers, or get great big bags and store it in 5-gallon buckets. Don't bring your long-term food storage home and just set it in the original package in your pantry somewhere. You risk your foods getting stale, getting spoiled, getting chewed on by critters that can get into your pantry, and then insects can contaminate all of your stored food. You always want to take the time to store your food the best that you can. So you can put it in Mylar bags, you can use oxygen absorbers, you can store it with a food saver, suck all the extra oxygen out. The more air that you remove from your food, the longer it's going to last. There's no one right way to store food. There are ways that foods can store longer, and if you don't have all of the supplies such as Mylar bags or oxygen absorbers now, you can always store the food the best you can and then seal it up better later when you can get the additional supplies. The next food that you should store would be beans. Beans are very versatile and there are all kinds of varieties. It's easy to grab one big bag of beans and figure we have our food storage all taken care of. But it's actually a better idea if you get a variety of beans, just because you have variety then in your meals. You don't want to eat the same thing day after day after day. You could, but that's not the optimum way to have meals. We want to have variety, and they can be as simple as having a variety of beans. Lots of beans, you can soak them, change the water, and then cook them, but the only one that's necessary is red beans. Red beans actually have a toxin in them, and you need to soak them and pour that water off, and then make sure that you cook them thoroughly. Almost every other kind of bean, you can cook them in the original water, and if water becomes a shortfall in different kinds of emergencies, you're still going to have enough water to cook your beans. Beans are just like rice. You want to store them in an airtight container. Foods last longer when you keep them cool, dark, and dry. Try to make sure that you store your foods below 70 degrees. The cooler you can store your food, the longer it actually will last. The next food from your grocery store is lentils. They're actually like beans because they are a legume, but they don't need to soak and they can cook much faster. Especially in times when fuel is limited, you can use less cooking to prepare lentils than other kinds of beans. It also is a great way to give you variety for a different source of protein. The next dried food is oatmeal. Oatmeal is very versatile. You don't even have to actually cook it because there are recipes for overnight oats where you just soak it in water or milk, and then you can add in any other ingredients that you prefer. I prefer mine with water and added with dry fruit, but that's the way I like it. Find the way that you like oatmeal. Oatmeal isn't just for breakfast. You can use it to make cookies, you can use it in other kinds of quick breads, you can use it to stretch meals and make them go farther. Oatmeal is versatile, so check it out and add it to your must-have survival food from the grocery store. Pasta is the next best survival food from the grocery store. It comes in all different shapes, it's versatile, it's easy to cook, and you can store it just as easily into long-term food storage containers, airtight containers, and it can last. One of the things about sealing pastas in things like Mylar bags or food saver bags is when it's dry, it has little sharp edges, and you might end up puncturing your bags. You need to be careful that sealing your pasta in bags isn't the only way that you plan to keep the oxygen out of it. I've stored pasta for many years and it's always been fresh, ready to eat. And so to me, it's just a go-to food that I like to have in my long-term food storage, and I like to rotate it and use it frequently. Next, look for canned and packaged foods that are going to be great survival foods from your grocery store. Head to the soup aisle. There are all kinds of varieties of soups, everything from vegan to organic to your plain old chicken noodle or simply tomato. Find the kind of soups that you like. I like to find soups that have multiple ingredients so that they have maybe beef and vegetables or chicken and vegetables, creamy broths. There's all kinds of varieties of soups that you can stockpile for not a lot of money. And the nice thing about soups is they're already ready to eat in the can. If you don't have any power and time is of the essence, you can pop it open, eat it as is, and you've had a meal that can sustain you until you can figure out what to do next. Canned soups don't need the soaking or preparing that dried foods do, but they don't last anywhere near as long. You need to rotate them. They come with a best by, sell by, use by date, and you need to try to rotate those foods within the guidelines that's on those dates. Some of them will last longer, but you don't want to count on your canned foods lasting far beyond the date because it can spoil, and you don't want to go to your pantry and all of your stored food is several years out of date and it's no longer good to eat anymore. That would be a tragedy. You don't want to waste your food storage dollars or your food storage space on foods that you're not willing to eat and rotate and then replace them. In addition to your dried beans, choose canned beans. You can just open them up, pour them into other ingredients, and you have quick meals that are long-lasting, full of protein, and you can have your energy that you need to get going. I also like to stock up on peanut butter. But remember, foods with oil will spoil. Peanut butter has oil in it, and so it needs to be rotated. Even if you don't open it, it can still get rancid inside the container, and I have had that happen. So buy the amount of peanut butter that you can rotate safely within the allotted guidelines of the sell by, use by, best by date, and then make sure that you're trying your best to rotate that peanut butter. Honey is a fantastic forever food. Try to find it as close to organic or as close to the source as you can, but that isn't always possible. You can still pick up a jar of honey at the grocery store. Canned meat is the next survival food that I recommend. You can find canned meats in any variety that you like. There are dozens of varieties of canned meats. Look for things like salmon, chicken, ham, tuna, sardines, mackerel, spam, roast beef, pulled pork. The meats in those flexible little pouches aren't going to last as long as meat in a can because the cans are just a far sturdier package. They're far less likely to have any kind of a pinhole puncture, anything like that. Those packages aren't designed to last as long as cans of food. Canned meats are a food that you can pretty much be sure it's safe to eat long after the date on the package. But you still need to inspect any outdated food. Look it over, make sure nothing looks bulging, nothing looks misshapen. Make sure the ends of your can are still concave, they're caved in, they're not bulging out in any way. Nothing around the seam is leaking, nothing looks off. Then go ahead and open your can. If you see anything spurting that smells off, foamy, anything rusty, anything that doesn't look right, then you need to dispose of your canned foods. Stock up on canned and dried fruits. You can find a whole variety of them. Everything from ones that are packed in syrup, packed in juice, tropical fruits. Find the fruits that you like, but be aware that fruits have a low acid and they don't tend to last as long even in a can. You pretty much need to watch the date on canned fruits and know that that's going to be it. You need to rotate them within that guideline. I've had a lot of cans of fruit, like especially pineapple and tropical fruits, that they leaked, they bulged, the food was wasted, that I didn't pay close enough attention to the dates on the fruits, and that was what I had a problem with. So pay extra attention to that. Rotate your cans of fruit within the guidelines on the date on their package. Dried fruits are great. Make sure you store those in an airtight container, and they can last quite a long time, many years longer than perhaps the canned fruit. Stock up on canned vegetables. Varieties from everything from tomatoes to go with your pasta and your beans, green beans, corn, carrots, mixed vegetables. There's all kinds of ways you can incorporate the varieties of vegetables with your other foods to make meals. One of my suggestions is when you're stocking up on food, have an idea how you're going to prepare it. How are these foods going to go together? How can you serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of the foods that you're stockpiling? And if you use your imagination and a little bit of creativity, you can probably come up with quite a variety of meals from just these basic survival foods from the grocery store. Take a walk down the spice and seasoning aisle. Choose a variety that you like, everything from salt, pepper, garlic powder, dried onions, and any other spices that you like. Stock up on those to add to your basic foods. It's very important that we have the foods on hand that we know we need. We need to be able to provide nutritious meals for ourselves and our families no matter what the day brings, and having food stockpile on hand allows us the ability to take care of ourselves the best that we can. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Learn more at alaskagranny.com, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.